Well, she's a good teacher. I like her. She's nice. I have to, let me see here. Let me get my notes up. So we've interviewed one other person so far, but we were supposed to interview, whatchamacallit, a health professional and ask some questions about their field.
Okay.
So I was like, I'm going to interview you.
All right. Well, I'm glad it worked out. So what you got? You got some preset questions? Or
yeah,
it's just random
I got
topic?
some
Okay.
preset ones for you.
All right.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
fire away.
First, what does
Start with real quick.
Oh,
real
yeah.
quick.
Yeah.
So I know the
No, you're good.
so I know the deal. So what kind of class is this for?
Oh, this is for my health professions class. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Go ahead.
My first question is, what does a typical day look like for you, and how much variety do you see in patients?
Well, being primary care, I see everything. I mean, from rashes to hemorrhoids to cancer to you name it. So never two in a row that are the same. A typical day, I get to the office about 7:15, and we start seeing patients, and we go from one to the next to the next. There's not really any lunch break, and we usually get out of here around 5:15, sometimes 5:30. And go home and come back and do it the next day.
Yes, sir. So you got you a full day.
Yeah, that's right. That's just part of it. But I don't cover hospital anymore. Okay. So my world is all outpatient. So I'm all outpatient. So that's why you run harder in the office, because you're not running back and forth, to the hospital after hours like we used to. So that's still way better than what it was in the beginning.
Gotcha. Cool. This is my next question for you is, what originally drew you to physical therapy, and what not physical therapy, that's the last lady I asked, but what keeps you drawn into your field of health, and what keeps you motivated?
Well, just because, you never know, you never get tired of seeing big impacts that you make. A lot of what we do is mundane, over and over. There's only so many things way to talk about heart, but there's always the stuff that sneaks in there, and and a lot of what we do is truly is life changing for folks. You guys have seen some of the stuff that y'all have gone through on the patient side of things as a family over the last several years, and so. Not everybody goes through that. And so the relationship that I get with my customers, if you will, which is what patients are, their clients, is on a different level. I like my banker, and, I kind of like my lawyer, but, the people that you're talking about, the kind of things that I talk about behind closed doors every day is there's just a different draw. There's a different feel there, and that's what keeps me coming back.
I got you. Next question. What are some of the biggest challenges you face in your work, both with patients and in the healthcare system?
Well, the healthcare system has been almost completely ruined by all of the technology and all the requirements for all of the electronic record stuff. Because now that's put the insurance companies, and it's mainly put the legal system and the government, for the most part, they are directing care. And so a patient can come in, have an issue, desire a certain treatment. We can go over those treatments. We can recommend those treatments. And because of somebody on the flip side working, and it might be an 18 or 19-year-old person working for an insurance company, in a state, 1,000 miles away, that says, no, you're not going to be able to get that because we don't think that that's appropriate. Now, the more automated it goes with AI, that may take it to a different level. Because then you've got more, over millions of cases. It's not just the opinion of one person sitting on the other side. So the algorithms may get smoother with that. So that's the biggest challenge with that, is how many hands are in the pot and that have more say over what the patient wants or what we think the patient needs from our world. But from a patient standpoint, the most challenging part is probably no different than what it ever has been. Is feared conditions that aren't necessarily the deal. So the anxieties that go along with feared conditions, and that's been made worse by the internet, because people now will Google a runny nose and come in thinking they got nose cancer and a brain tumor leaking into their nose. So that's probably the main thing there is overly concerned, and fueled by internet drama, Dr. Web, MD kind of stuff. All right.
Let's see. Are there certain patient populations, like athletes or older people, younger people, that you prefer over?
Well, we all like the young, healthy people, because they're easier to treat. They're easier to treat. Usually more fun. It's hard to have fun with somebody who's really, really sick, young or old, and older people just tend to have more problems. So yes, if we look down our schedule, if we look for the day and all the people on our list, as a general rule, all things, you never can tell. There are people that can be mean, jerks, if you will. They can be at any age, but all things being said, so anybody in my profession would rather work on, somebody young. You got more benefit that you can give them, and you have more risk with a younger person, because the more because if you mess them up, they got longer to live with the mess up. So. Nobody likes the train wreck. Nobody likes the 90-year-old train wreck.
Oh, yeah.
Who wants to deal with that all day long? I'm just teasing. We all love all those people. Matter of fact, I just finished with one of those two.
Awesome. How do you balance work with home life? Like understanding when to stop working and when to continue working when you're at home and whatnot.
Well, there's no balance, especially when you're back in days when we cover hospitals. Now, again, more and more people in my profession, especially in my field, primary care, do less hospital work, if any, because now we've coerced the hospitals to hire their own people to staff the hospital, so we didn't have to blend too. But there is no balance. My wife is, especially back before kids. She's brought small, table-sized Christmas trees to the call room on Christmas Eve so she can see me because I'll leave and come back in 4 days kind of thing. And she sleeps in a bunk just like what you have back there with me in the call room, sometimes you get, I may get 15 minutes to sit down and talk, with them. So you eat when you can and you sleep when you can is what it boils down to. Now, that all being said, now with the hours I just mentioned in that earlier question, starting that morning and getting home, then there's not much that I have to pull back for other than just the business side of things, the admin meetings, the financial discussions, and the running the business. So there's that on top of it. So it's definitely better. I don't round at the hospital at 6 a.m. So my younger kids, they probably don't even remember me having to go in at 4 o'clock on Christmas morning to try to be back home by the time they woke up on Christmas morning, So you can try to balance it, but it balances you, and you work until you're done. You don't, it's not punching a clock. It's not so it's a different profession in that world, in that way, by all means.
Absolutely. How do you stay up to date with new research, techniques, and technologies in the field?
So multiple things. Obviously journals. So journals are a big deal. The actual pharmaceutical companies, they actually fill a little bit of a niche because they're always trying to come out and get you to write and use their new products. And so there is some value to that. We used to, there used to be 8 or 10 a day trying to come to our office to have 5 minutes talking with us. And again, our spouses don't always get 5 minutes. We're not giving 8 other people 5 minutes. But journals, and then, your staff and the providers individually, they have to maintain ongoing certification. So there's a constant, you have so many hours of continuing ed that you have to constantly do. There's plenty. And, with all the direct-to-consumer, one of the newer trends is the direct-to-consumer. Since those drug reps can't come into the office, or we're just, we just don't let them in like they did back in the day, then they use those dollars, the companies use those dollars that they're not necessarily paying on, 50 drug reps to cover an area the size of Beaufort County. They instead use that money for commercials.
Yeah.
So they have direct-to-consumer marketing. And so the patients come in asking specifically, well, tell me about this new heart procedure, or tell me about this. So you have to stay up on that stuff. And so, because, the customer is aware of it as opposed to being aware of only what we told them before.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. I got 3 more questions for you. 3 more. Okay. What skills outside of the anatomy and physiology part of your field do you find important, like character-wise?
Yeah, well, you got to be a good listener to do what I do. I mean, because people say things and then they don't always know how to explain. So you have to be able to not just hear the noise that they're saying, but you have to be able to listen and kind of pick apart. A different word may mean something differently to other people. I'm weak. Does that mean what? Your heart won't go? I mean, you're tired because you have flu. So you have to be a good listener. And then I think you have to have some degree of compassion. Now, people get more, it sounds like an obvious thing, but people get very callous in whatever field. The auto mechanic will say, your car's making a loud noise, and do you think the whole thing's blowing apart? And the mechanic will say, oh, no, that's just blah, 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 right? Yeah. In our world, if somebody comes in, everything is an emergency to the patient, right? I mean, it's a scary thing, even some mild symptom, and it's really easy after you've seen 30 people in one day with the same COVID complaint. It's real easy to say, oh, that's just COVID, realizing that COVID is what killed that guy's mama. Right? How can you say I just have COVID? That's what I buried my mom with last year. Right? So it's very easy. So you have to have that compassion and realize that what might be commonplace to us can be is a really big deal to the customer. And so you have to have a nuance for that. And that's where that bedside manner comes in. You have some folks that just don't have that. They walk in and, oh, you're not dying, and out the door they go. And patients will come in and they'll say, that was a sorry doc. That orthopedist was sorry. That cardiologist was sorry. I mean, he was terrible. Smart as a whip. The guy that'll save your life if you're there, just because he didn't hold your hand, So it's not always what's done, it's what's perceived. So you have to have that bedside manner, that compassion, and be able to be a good listener. To read between the lines.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
All right.
What do you wish you had known before you started practicing in your field?
Probably the most thing that if I had to do again now is if I'd have known how uninterested the payers were with what we thought the patient needed or what the patient wanted, then it might have been a different decision, because now it's all about the numbers, it's all about the statistics, and it's all about, like I said, it's truly the tail wagging the dog. So now if we went back to just fee for service, to where the docs or the nurse practitioner, whomever that would be, would say, here, this is you just ran a marathon and you want a quick bag of IV fluids to kind of boost you back up and get. Okay, fine. Here, this is what the charge is, and here's what we'll do, right? Yeah. So, but the problem is okay. So I want this and this and this and this, but I want the insurance to pay for all that. If the insurance is making the call on what's being paid for, then they get a say on, what's being done. And now it's just completely upside down. It's not to say it for the 5th time, but it's the tail wagging the dog. And the more I knew about that, then I went into medicine, because I type A, lion, personality, have to be the boss kind of deal. And at one point I did have 100 employees and I ran this whole deal. Yeah. But you're not your own boss in this world. So, not in this medical world.
Yeah. To kind of tie into that, like, where do you see, like, your profession in the next, like, 5 to 10 years? Like, if you could envision that now, like, where would that be at? Because of all those things going on.
Right. So where I see this all going, and it's accelerated dramatically with the whole AI boom. The hassle in my field, because of all of the bureaucracy, all the red tape, all the computer work. I mean, my providers, as a general rule, see only about 2/3 of what they used to see because they spend so much more time in front of computer screens, which were supposedly to make it more efficient. It's not. It's more data entry. And so my providers see less people. And so the money is not there, and that's a big part of any business. Why would you go to school for 11 years and come out $500,000 in debt if you were going, financially, same thing that a really good go-getter guy who went and got a good plumbing degree or got a good electrical degree and HVAC degree would make without quite the risk and without quite the investment. So you have people, the top of the class are going into other things as opposed to pure medicine. And so you're seeing the world, what used to be. I remember we brought our first nurse practitioner into our office, and that was kind of in town. Like, you go over there, you might not even see a doc, you might see a nurse practitioner. And now you have, a doc overseeing, each doc is overseeing like 3 nurse practitioners. Yeah. Because where the guys at the top of the classes aren't necessarily going into medicine, so they're filling the voids with the nurse practitioners and the PAs. Gotcha. And actually in a lot of ways, they do a better job. I mean, they're more conscientious. The patients like them, and so that is kind of how the trend has been over the last several years. And then if you throw the AI piece into that, my diagnostic skills are going to be never as good as a diagnostic AI would be. Yeah, because the AI is not just going with what my 30 years experience would be. It would be going with what $1 million with 30 years experience would be. I mean, so it's going to be so much more accurate. So that's where I see it's going. You're going to have people in the medical field that are managing the AI, managing the nurse practitioners, managing the system more so than the direct diagnostic treat and street, in my opinion.
I got you.
Long answer.
No, that's good. That's good. And then my last question for you: how do you measure success with a patient?
Yeah, so obviously, if their overall health is improved, if the person broke his leg and you set the leg, if the person has a blood pressure of 200 and is near a stroke and now you have it normal, so you've reduced that. So, but there's more to it than just that. Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's a customer and it's a consumer and a provider, just like your law office, just like their grocery store. So you have, so you strive for satisfaction too. Satisfaction does not always go with improvement. Like I said, if a person's heart, if he's pulled out of his heart attack, but the cardiologist had a bad bedside manner and the patient's like, well, that guy was terrible. Well, he saved your life. Well, he was still terrible. So I measure success if the customer's satisfied, if the patient is better off, if we've improved the situation and the person is satisfied, and again, definitely if we've done no harm, which is the oath that we take. The oath that we take is above all, do no harm. Do nothing before you do something that would harmful. So, anyway,
awesome.
And if the customer comes back, right?
Yeah.
If the patient comes back and brings his grandma. Well, speaking of grandma, didn't you guys lose a grandparent?
Yeah. My dad's mother just passed away last Sunday.
Yeah, I saw that in the bulletin. Sorry, I should have mentioned that first.
No, it's okay. I appreciate it.
Anyway,
Yes, sir.
So yes. All right.
I appreciate your time. I appreciate it.
All right, buddy.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, take care. Tell you folks and tell your dad especially, keep him in our prayers. That's never easy. Has your grandma been sick?
Yeah,
she's been sick, or was kind of a surprise?
She's been sick, but it's been a very, just drawn out, long type sickness. And she had cancer and it was spreading. And she just got hurt, and then it just kind of went from there and
snowballed.
Went down real quick. So.
All right. Well, where does she live?
She lived in Buford. She was in Beaufort.
Oh, okay.
So it was close, which was nice.
All right, so y'all, okay. All right. Well,
Yeah.
tell your folks I said hey and I asked about them.
Yes, sir.
All
Will
right.
do.
And tell your brothers, tell your old ugly brothers, tell them I said hey.
Yes, sir.
All right, see you, man. All right,
See
take
ya.
care. I got to
Yes, sir. Thank
right.
you. Bye.
Bye.